Hi, here is Zofia Kępińska, empathic here and now. Today I will still stay in this general view about attachment parenting, but now I would like to tell you what attachment parenting is not, because I heard some myths about attachment parenting, so I would like to dispel these myths. Okay. As I said in the first episode of the podcast, attachment parenting is not a set of rules that you have to follow, a list of tasks to be done. It isn't. It's just a certain set of tools. We can take them and see how they work for us. Let's not treat this as a set of dogmas. Another myth. Attachment parenting is not something that is called stress-free parenting. Because this is the myth that I heard also, that attachment parenting is stress-free parenting. You know, I have to tell you that I have some trouble with the term stress-free parenting because I don't fully understand what it is and what it's all about. I think it means keeping the child, in some kind of bubble to protect your child at all costs from stress, frustration, anger, disappointment, some difficult situations, to overprotect your child. I think that's what is called stress-free parenting, yeah? And maybe it's also about doing whatever the child asks or demands, just anything to prevent the child from crying or screaming or having bad mood. So, I would like to tell you that attachment parenting is not that kind of way of parenting. Attachment parenting is also not a way of spoiling the child. By the way, I don't like that term at all. But I heard few times that attachment parenting is spoiling the child. So, I want to say that giving the child your attentive presence, your gentleness, taking the child into account, respecting his boundaries, hugging him, carrying him, responding to his cries, supporting the child. These are not ways to spoil the child, whatever that means. They are elements of building a good, safe relationship. And this is exactly what child needs. So, no. Attachment parenting is not spoiling the child, whatever spoiling the child means. Attachment parenting, it's not preventing the child from experiencing stress. But beware, surely attachment parenting is also not a concept of creating discomfort, stress for the child on purpose, so that the child gets used to the fact that life is not easy. A kind of hardening of the child, preparing him for this cruel, insensitive world. Probably so much stress will befall him in the future that it's good for him to learn this now. This concept? Because he won't be able to cope in life. So now he has to learn to be strong and deal with stress on purpose. No, and once again, no. Of course, the child will experience stress in life, and he already does. Stress, frustration, sadness, anger, disappointment. It just happens, because all these feelings are parts of life, and I don't need to add more of them to my child's life just for training. Totally not. Life is stressful enough, and it's nice if parent is not an additional source of stress for the child, especially on purpose. What can I do for my child is to allow him to experience these emotions when they arise, to not suppress them, to not belittle them. For example, my child tries to do something and it doesn't work. So he gets frustrated and angry. Instead of distracting my child or telling him that he has no reason to be angry, I can simply point out that it's difficult for him. I can give him my presence, my attention. Maybe child needs to talk about his anger, maybe he needs a hug. Give the child both time and space to be with these difficult feelings. Support him. I want to stay for a moment on the subject of protecting a child from difficult emotions at all costs. So let me give you an example. Your child wants to eat candy. You really don't have it in you to accept that. Because, for example, he ate a lot of sweets yesterday, you are worried about his teeth, you just truly don't want to give him candy. So you say no. The child is sad, angry, or disappointed. You can say that you see that. That you see that he feels bad about your no. Allow him to be angry. And now another scenario. In the same way, you don't want to give your child the candy he is asking for. Because he hasn't had his breakfast yet, because you are worried about his health and so on, you have your reasons. But you are so stressed that your child will be sorry, that he will cry or scream, that despite the fact that you don't want to, you still decide to give your child the candy against yourself. And then you are angry at yourself and stressed that he's eating this candy because you really didn't want that. This is a situation of protecting the child at all costs from difficult emotions. Yeah, you really don't want to give him a candy. You have a lot of reasons, and you would like to say no, but you're afraid of saying no to your own child because you are afraid of his emotional reaction, because you just don't know how to deal with it, maybe. And another scenario, the child asks for candy, and the first thought you have is, okay, that is okay, why not? It's okay for you to let him eat it. But then you have some other idea. The child must learn that you cannot have everything you want. You don't want to spoil him. You want to teach him that life is not easy. So you say no. No, you cannot eat the candy. You say no, not because you think that he really shouldn't eat this candy now, but just because you are afraid of saying that kind of, easy yes. Yeah. So that's what training a child is. Such a deliberately created exercise of discomfort. He will be a strong adult. Do you feel what I'm talking about? Same request from the child, 3 different reactions from the parent. Each reaction from a different place in that adult. It's such an important thing to have a contact with yourself, to really understand with which kind of intention you are responding to your child, yeah? What is behind that? Okay, what else? I once heard that attachment parenting is such a way of putting the child in the spotlight, that the child is the most important and others are less important. That in attachment parenting, we say that the child is the center of the world. This is related to the subject of spoiling. So, no, it's not like this in the attachment parenting. Of course, it's natural that the child has less supportive strategies for his needs than we adults have. And the child needs more attention, and it's more difficult for him to wait, and he needs more patience from others. So there is this natural focus on the child, but that doesn't mean that the needs of other family members are less important. No, in a family, the needs of all of us are just as important. But the child is this person in the family who is still learning to regulate himself more than adults, who does not yet have access to many strategies. So he needs more support. And different way of support. And it's obvious that the parents take care of the child while they also take care of themselves and with the help of other adults. You know what I mean? I'm taking care of my child and I'm not expecting the same from my child, of course. The child organize, let's say, his life managing some hard situations, some difficulties through the adult, but it does not support the family and especially the child if the adult tries to manage himself and his things through the child. Do you understand? Something doesn't work very well if the adult expects the child to help him get a grip. Okay, so no, attachment parenting, it's not making the child the center of the world, but simply adjusting to the child's natural development, to what point in his development he is now, to his abilities, to how he copes and what difficulties he has. But not forgetting that I am also important, that my feelings and needs are important too. And that I also want to take care of myself for my own well-being, but also because if I don't take care of myself, I really won't have anything to give my child. So as I said in the previous podcast, attachment parenting is a lot about balance so that everyone is well. And I think the child really wants to be such an equal part of this family tribe. I think it's difficult to belong, to be part of the group, if you are such an exception around which everybody jumps and forgets about themselves. But when I said that the child wants to be an equal part of family tribe, I mean equal in that meaning that needs of all people in family are important the same. Not that everyone is treated the same. You know what I mean? We are not treating everyone the same. We are responding to everyone's needs and feelings, and it doesn't mean to treat everyone the same way. Yeah. Okay, so these are just like few myths about attachment parenting. I think it's all for today. So thanks a lot, and another podcast probably on Friday. Thank you. Zofia Kępińska, empathy here and now. Bye.